Kick us off this evening, and I want to say happy Hanukkah, and I am so happy um, to be with all of you this seventh night of Hanukkah and to celebrate in the midst of what for many of us I think has felt like a dark time. And Hanukkah provides us some light, and I wanted to share with you some of the light for me during this time at 18 Doors. And as some of you know, my dad has not been well for several months now. And he's been hospitalized over the course of a few months, several times. And most recently, I was sitting in his hospital room in New Jersey with my mom. And I'm sitting there writing out 18 Doors Hanukkah cards. And my mom's sitting next to me quietly, and she's reading something on her phone. And, I look over and I think like, it's probably one of like the emails she gets from Kohl's or Macy's or Talbot's. And, my mom always likes a good deal and she's constantly looking for coupons and sales. But instead she looks up at me and she says, I really like the story that you told about this couple. And I look a little bit closer, and on her phone, she's reading the 18 Doors email newsletter. And it was such a sweet moment for me that, like, in this midst of a really tough time for her and for our family, that there she is reading about other interfaith families like hers and ours. And then, like more than, I don't know, 1.5 million other people this year, she clicked on our website and she's scrolling through different recipes, and finally she picks out a new sweet potato latke recipe to try during Hanukkah this year. And it just was such a sweet moment amidst, what I think for so many of us has been a challenging time. So that was one moment. And then the second happened last night when we began our new anti-Semitism program in partnership with the ADL. And this program is really meant to help interfaith couples talk about the impact of anti-Semitism on their lives, and specifically ways that partners who aren't Jewish can become outspoken allies in the fight against anti-Semitism. And at a time when anti-Semitic incidents have risen, I think something like 400% just since October 7th, I can think of no more important program than that we're doing and that we're launching than this one at this particular time. And then finally, my last light-filled moment happened yesterday when I was at a CJP event. CJP is the Boston Federation, for those of you outside of Boston, for their annual gathering of Federation partner CEOs and clergy. And while I was there, I ran into Rabbi Bram David, who was a Rukun Rabbinic Fellow in our first cohort of rabbis. And it gave me a chance to really think about the growth and success of the fellowship, because earlier this year we launched our first cohort and our largest cohort of 27 fellows, including several who are part of the conservative movement, as well as many who are part of the reform movement, and a couple from the Reconstructionist and secular humanist movements. And each rabbi learns from different experts in the field, including our founder, Ed Case, and several of our other board members. And then over 18 months, we'll learn and grow together, culminating in the completion of a capstone project that captures some of their learning. And the more than 40 rabbis now have completed the fellowship bring and exude their own light as they think about the ways that interfaith couples and families can change and grow and help develop their rabbinate, which is why it gives me great pleasure to introduce Rabbi Robin Frisch, who many of you know and love, who is a longtime friend and colleague, who is the director of the Rukun Rabbinic Fellowship Program, and who is now going to lead us in the Hanukkah blessings.
If it's okay, I'm going to speak for, like Mike said, I could have 2 minutes. I hope I won't use more than that. Happy Hanukkah, everyone. And I want to echo Jody, like this is a year that we need to really notice the light in our lives, because it's a little bit harder and the light feels a little bit dimmed. Obviously, the high level of anti-Semitism and the war in Israel and a lot of things going on both here and abroad that are difficult to deal with. And as we've been experiencing all of this, I keep thinking, as I'm trying to process what seems unfathomable of a teaching by, because that's what rabbis do, you think teaching by the rabbis, that has to do actually with the first night of Hanukkah. So I know I'm 6 nights late, but I want to share it with all of you. And as we know, we light the Hanukkah, the Hanukkah menorah, for 8 nights. And the rabbi said, what makes sense to light it on nights 2nd through 8th, because there was a miracle. We had enough oil for 1 night and it lasted 8 nights. But what was the miracle the first night? It was supposed to last for a full day. So why are we lighting it the first night of Hanukkah? And the great thing about the rabbis is if they have a question, they have an answer or 2 or 3 answers. In this case, there was 1 answer. And the answer is the miracle on the first day or night of Hanukkah was that they had the faith to light the light. And they had what was actually the menorah, the 7-branch candelabrum in the temple in Jerusalem. And they could have not done it. They could have said, we don't have enough oil. But instead, they had, in that case, faith in God to light it in the first place. And the miracle of the first day of Hanukkah was their faith. And I think that's what we need now, faith. We all may have different theologies and beliefs in God, and can't go into that in my 1 more minute. But I think what we really need is faith in ourselves. And we need that faith to lead to action. We have to stand up for Israel. We have to fight anti-Semitism, or now it's often called Jew hatred, which I think is a more appropriate name here in the United States and abroad. We have to continue to advocate for interfaith inclusion. We've come a really long way since Ed started Interfaith Family 20 plus years ago, but we still have work to do. And we have to do whatever else we believe we need to do to make this world a better place. So like the Maccabees who lit the menorah at the risk that they would only have enough oil for 1 day, we need to continue to bring light into the world, and we need to have the faith that our actions will make a difference as well. So on that note, I'm going to recite the Hanukkah blessing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mindy Fortin, who will light the first candle. And as I said to Jody, you will all find out I'm not the best of singers. There's a reason I'm a rabbi, not a cantor. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem ba'azman hazeh. And then
Here I am. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see all these beautiful faces. Happy Hanukkah. I just briefly, as Rabbi Robin was saying, it feels so good to be among friends at this time. It's been a really tough time, especially here in Philadelphia. I'm sure so many of you have seen all the news. And I guess what I've been thinking a lot about this Hanukkah is the beauty of actually being in an interfaith family, and the fact that I have this big Catholic family that actually has to care about this because they care about me. And I think that in working with 18Doors for so long, thinking so much about our couples, and now really thinking about our institutions that really need the strength that 18Doors can provide in helping to incorporate and integrate these families to make our Jewish community stronger. And so, that's how I'm really celebrating Hanukkah this year, and really appreciating the love and the support that I feel from my friends that are not Jewish, and who have really reached out, and I'm grateful for that.
What a beautiful reflection, Mindy. Thank you for sharing with us.
Absolutely.
And our second candle will be lit by our fearless founder, Ed Case. Ed, take it away.
The virtual lighting or a symbolic? Well, when I think Mike contacted me and said I should talk about how I got involved with Interfaith Family, which was an interesting way for me to look at it. And then Jody told me I should talk about why I started it. And I started Interfaith Family because I was convinced that engaging in Jewish life could be a source of value and meaning and beauty, really, for interfaith couples and their children. And I wanted to do something that would support and encourage that engagement, and also advocate for attitudes and policies that from the Jewish community that would support that engagement and not discourage it. And this was really 22 years ago now, and there were people then, and they're not saying it so loudly anymore, but there are still people out there saying that the grandchildren of interfaith marriages would not be Jewish. So the most light-filled thing that's happened in my life, amidst the terrible darkness that we are in the middle of, is that my oldest grandchild, Jonah Benson, had his bar mitzvah on October 28th. And Jonah has one Jewish parent, which is my daughter, and his wonderful father really grew up with no religion. And Wendy and I, while we were raising our children, we were an interfaith couple too. And in his Devar Torah, Jonah said, "I am very proud to be Jewish. It is such a resilient religion." So I think, I didn't know this back in 2001, but in hindsight, I think the reason I started Interfaith Family is that I wanted there to be more Jonah Bensons in the world. And I hope that will continue to happen. And I am really thrilled to see 18Doors now thriving as it is. And it's kind of mind-boggling that I don't think I may have met Ellen in some other incarnation, but I don't know the COO of the organization. I think I've met Linda Silberman once or twice, maybe in passing in Atlanta. I don't know Lori, and it's great, actually. It's great that the organization is doing so well under Jody's terrific leadership.
Thanks, Ed. And a fun fact is that Jonah, Ed's grandson, and my two boys, who will have their B'nai Mitzvah next October, will share the same Parsha. They have the same Torah Parsha, Lech Lecha, which I just thought was such a fun thread of continuity. Our third candle will go to our current chair and beloved leader, Linda Silberman.
Hi, everyone. So Mike called me up and said, okay, talk about why you're involved with 18Doors. And everybody knows my story about my 4 kids that are all married to non-Jews. So I kind of did a little reflection about my own interfaith journey, even though I'm not interfaith. But when we moved to Atlanta in 1992, we were looking to join a synagogue, which terrified me because I had never been in a synagogue before. But we happened to come upon this synagogue near where we live that was known as the Interfaith Synagogue. It happened to be very welcoming. We joined one before, they were horrible and mean, and we joined here, they were just warm and welcoming. But a lot of the couples in the synagogue were interfaith, and it was the only rabbi who would marry non-Jews and also would co-officiate at weddings that were non-Jewish. So fast forward years later, when our children were involved in interfaith relationships, it was never a thing about having to find a rabbi, because we had a rabbi that was very welcoming, and they all married our kids. And continuing on, the kids got involved in PJ Library, which is a low barrier entry. And then involved in Jewish Kids Group, which was for an unaffiliated, it was a Sunday school for unaffiliated families. They went there. And then in 2016, my husband, who was chair of the board of federation, went to Philadelphia with the CEO of the company to this conference put on by Interfaith Family. And he came home and he was like, oh my God, this was the most incredible thing. There's actually an organization that works, that does this work. So after he came home, we both met with Malka, who is the rabbi living in Atlanta that works for Interfaith Family. We learned about all of her programs. We were just blown away. We hosted a bunch of interfaith dinners in partnership with Honeymoon Israel, and Malka brought her people, and Jewish Kids brought their people. And then fast forward, Paul, who is a blessed memory, called me up and asked me to join the board. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I was just so excited. And that's really how I got involved with 18 Doors and how I'm passionate about it. And Ed, just to say to you also, I have 5 kids, all in day school. And it's really because of the community and because of programs like Couples in Conversation and everything that's going on that really made that happen. So that's my story. And I'm lighting my candle. My beautiful 18 Doors Hanukkah candle. Thank you.
Linda, I always love hearing your stories and hear you talk about your family. And I remember that conference and meeting Mark like it was yesterday, and how far we've come. Our 4th candle will be our incoming board chair and current program committee chair, Lori Byen, and her husband, Ben, who are terrific supporters of 18 Doors.
Hello. So I was just going to briefly talk about why I'm involved in 18 Doors. And when we started dating 23 years ago, you know, I wasn't raised Jewish and Ben was raised Jewish, and we were having conversations that none of our friends were having about a Christmas tree or not, about, you know, different things of facets of interfaith life. And it felt very isolating. None of our friends were interfaith. They were either Jewish or not Jewish. And we didn't really know where to go with the questions we were having. And so finding an interfaith community really meant so much to us. We realized we weren't alone in this. There were other people having the same conversations, asking the same questions. And it just felt very empowering and a sense of belonging. I felt like I was welcome in the Jewish community, and we had the tools necessary to have these conversations and decide what made sense for our family, which is different than what other people may have decided. But that's why 18 Doors is so important to me, because finding that sense of community among other interfaith families was very important. So, and we lit all the candles already, so I know I'm the 4th candle, but we've gotten ahead of ourselves.
Symbolic lighting.
Yes.
Our 5th candle will be lit by Linda Schwartz, who is our past board chair and treasurer, and was an incredible leader at such a pivotal moment in the organization's history. And I'm so delighted to see you here today.
It's great to see so many friends, and also people who are friends to be. How I got involved with 18 Doors, the short answer is Ed asked me. And I can never say no to Ed. But the other answer is I remember what it was like to be, like Lori said, new to Judaism, new to the community, and just kind of wigged out. And finding an organization that was oriented to making resources available just felt very, very important to me. The other thing that I think is just a source of great joy is the sense that whatever work that I did a few years ago, at a time when we were transitioning from Ed to Jody, it's just, this work that we did years ago is blossomed and carried on by so many other people, and with new inspiration and new visions and new steps into the future. And I just think that's exciting and wonderful and a true joy. So we actually already burned our 18 Doors candles, but I have another one here, a stunt candle for my 5th candle. So here we go, number 5. And as usual, it blew out. I have a wimpy shamash. Oh, I'm just gonna skip it. There we go. Number 5.
Thanks, Linda. That was wonderful. Our 6th candle will be lit by Mary Fernandez, who is our current board member and chair of our governance committee and a member of the program committee. And Mary, take it away.
Can you hear me okay? Just shake your head, okay? It's a very poignant evening for me. I'm actually at a reunion for a mission trip to Israel that I took in July. And our entire bus is here, and we're recalling visiting Kibbutz Erez and also Ofakim and all of the other amazing places that we went. It's very striking that I'm at this reunion and also with you at the same time. I don't think that's an accident. Because I could never have imagined 37 years ago when I began my life with my husband, Adam, that I would marry a Jewish man, raise Jewish children, eventually become a Jew, and then become a leader in the Jewish community. I attribute that to the mission of 18 Doors. Because what we do is we allow couples and families and extended families and ultimately the Jewish community to envision a bigger tent. And it's been a long journey for me personally, not always, like I'm sure for many of you, not always an easy one. But I think what I'm learning through my work with 18 Doors is that change does happen. It doesn't always happen as fast as we might like it to happen. So I'm really happy I'm able to be with you tonight. I'm happy to be with my friends who are drinking a lot in the room. And I think we're at a very pivotal moment in the history of 18 Doors going forward, and to determine how our mission can strengthen not just Jews in America, but the Jewish community worldwide. So it's a real privilege to be here.
Thank you, Mary. I don't think it's a coincidence either that you are where you are this evening. Thanks for sharing that with us. Our 7th and final candle tonight will be lit by Bobby Wasserman, who is both part of our future and our past. Bobby's parents of blessed memory, Len and Dorothy, were longtime supporters of Interfaith Family and 18 Doors, and Bobby's dad, Len, started his own organization, Interfaith Ways, which merged with Interfaith Family many years ago. Bobby, take it away.
Well, you took over. I might be the end, but I'm here from before the beginning. And my parents, especially my dad, Leonard, was always ahead of his time and could see the importance of educating not just the Jewish community, but the rabbis and the federations of the importance of welcoming intermarried couples and their families. For whatever reason, he did not have the need, and from that desire to see the Jewish religion continue to grow with assimilation with other partners, that his biggest upset was not the community where our children would be marrying people that they love, but was with the federations and the rabbinate that were not willing to accept the fact that other people wanted to marry Jewish people that weren't Jewish. As it turns out, I have 2 stepchildren that came to me that have a non-Jewish mother that ended up both being bar mitzvahed, both being confirmed because I'm Reformed, and they both went to Isaac Mayer Wise College, which even I didn't go to. So if I ask them who they are Jewish. The interfaith family was key in my cousin's children also having an interfaith couple, being one of the first couples that Robin worked with, where John and Ashley have 3 beautiful children, and they go to our religious school with their children. It just is what has to be in order for us to continue to grow. So I thank you very much. I am proud to continue my parents' dream. It has always been a dream close to my heart, and I can't wait to continue to work with you guys. Happy Hanukkah to you all. No fire here.
Happy Hanukkah, Bobby. And happy Hanukkah to all of you who are leaders at 18Doors and helped us get to the moment that we were in today and help the organization grow and flourish. We are so grateful for your support and your leadership and what it has enabled and the impact that it has enabled us to have on the millions, literally millions of interfaith couples and families that we work with each year. We said this would be a half hour, and we're a couple minutes over, but I want to invite you to, if you'd like to stay and schmooze with your fellow colleagues and leaders, feel free to. And if you want to continue on with your evening, that's, of course, you are free to